Good afternoon, McCabe Church. Jonathan here. Shh. Can't be too loud. Don't want anybody to find me. I'm hanging out in a closet here at church because we're living in the last days. And really the safest place to be in the last days is in a closet surrounded by electrical power and cement walls and extra paint, right? That's our thought. It's the last days. We should be somewhere hiding, ready to receive Jesus when he returns. But we don't want to suffer in any way. So it's best if we just hide out. And that's why I'm here in the closet, because it appears to be the safest place. But apparently I'm not alone. There are creatures with 8 legs. So actually, it's not as safe as I thought. Well, I'm just trying to follow up on the message on Sunday. We had a great Sunday. We had a lot to be confident and rejoicing in. Our choir was amazing. I know if you were there, you got to hear them. When I listen to the choir online and I hear the recording, I close my eyes. I hear like a 40, 50 voice choir, and I know there's only 16 people up there, but those 16 people are giving it their all. They are singing out, and it sounds like a 40 voice choir because everyone's participating, everyone's investing, everyone's worshiping, everyone's singing. Think of how quiet the choir loft would be if everybody was here with me in this closet. Everybody was here just kind of crouched down. It's the last days. We shouldn't be out publicly singing about God and praising Jesus' name. We shouldn't be in the choir. We shouldn't be meeting together. We ought to be somewhere safe. We ought to be somewhere where the world or the evil, ultimately as it's prophesied, can't find us. But we looked into the scriptures together in 1 Peter chapter 4. And he said, ultimately, you're supposed to arm yourself. Verse 1, Jesus suffered in the flesh. You're to arm yourself with the mindset and mindset. I'm supposed to arm myself with the mindset that if following and obeying Jesus requires me to suffer, and that means in the last days, that means eventually how the last times play out and how the devil gets his last parting effort and parting shot, and the world and the flesh work together to begin to actually come against the faith and come against believers. It doesn't matter. I am to arm myself. I'm actually to equip myself and include it in my armor. The commitment that even if suffering is going to take place, Jesus suffered for me. It was to accomplish God's purpose and will. And so his suffering could accomplish that through me. We're supposed to kind of get that settled in our minds ahead of time. And we're to spend our time passionately pursuing Christ, but we're not supposed to go backwards. We're not to fall back into the old ways, the old thoughts, the old substances, the old practices, the old relationships that were prior to our new life in Jesus Christ. We're not to lose hope or to lose faith or to keep our eyes focused forward. Instead, we have the failure of looking backwards sometimes and going back into sinful patterns. And Peter's saying, don't do that. The gospel was given to you. The power of Jesus and the word of God and the Spirit were to equip you to actually face forward in expectancy of Jesus Christ's return. But he says in verse 7, the end of all things is at hand. Be self-controlled, sober-minded for the sake of your prayers. Now, I've been in some circumstances in my life where I just felt like I don't know what to pray for. I don't know how to pray. I don't even know if I believe. I have the faith to exert any kind of prayers for myself or anyone else. And when we get in that position, it's a really sad position to be in, because prayer is a powerful conversation with a powerful God. And God can do anything he wills to do. Nothing is impossible. And yet to be so despondent and so fearful, and fear just pushes out faith. It just simply they cannot coexist. Faith and fear really can't coexist. Fear pushes out faith if we don't choose to actually believe and trust what we've been told. Now, this week has kind of been an interesting week because the news on some parts of the news and the social media is really up in arms because the Prime Minister of Great Britain, came out with this statement. in which he's going to deal with his immigration problem. And that is, he's got individuals who are crossing the borders that he does not have any control over, doesn't know who they are. And they're living and working in the country, and they don't pay taxes. They're not part of the country, but they work in the country. And his solution is that every individual will eventually have a digital identity code or identity chip either on their cell phone that they would have to actually produce, or if they do not have a cell phone, they can actually have this digital chip in some way placed into their body. Now, you know what that does for those who study the end times and look into the prophecies and look into how the Antichrist and the man of lawlessness is going to begin to exert power in the future. And part of that is going to have to be a collective universal government. And one of the ways that's going to happen, it's going to come about, is through this universal economy in which you cannot buy and sell unless you have the mark of the beast. What is that mark? Well, we don't know exactly. But here's an effort to try to put and implant something digitally in somebody's body that can be tracked, that becomes an identifier for them. So you can see on the social media and those who study the last times, they're just like, wow, this thing just happened. Get ready. Jesus is just around the corner. And what are we supposed to do with that? What do we do with that news? Well, I think what we do with that news is we come back to actually 1 Peter chapter 4. He says the end of all things are at hand. They've always been at hand. There is a sequence of events to come. But the fact of the matter is we need to be faithful in the moments in which we live. And he says, be self-controlled and sober-minded for the sake of your prayers. Above all, keep loving one another earnestly. Your fear is another way of just pushing not just faith out, but love. And so when we are faithful, when we are in the Word, when we are loving Jesus, when we've made the decision to arm ourselves for suffering, should that come, then we are equipped to actually be men and women of faith and also men and women who will love one another. We're not afraid to continue to invest in the relationships and derive strength and give to one another versus this idea of just coming in a closet here like I am and just hiding out, being sure that I got enough resources for whatever is going to happen. Okay. I'm not saying in real danger, there isn't a place to prepare for that. But with respect to the last days, no, we've got work to do. We still have great freedoms. We still have great opportunity to share the gospel. We actually are inviting with invite cards that I shared with you Sunday. We're inviting 500 individuals to come and be part of our picnic this coming Saturday from 4 to 6 o'clock, maybe a little bit later for maybe clean up and everything till 7. But we're saying publicly, we have the freedom. We're not going to come and hang out in the closet. We're going out there at the Jack Dalton Park, and we're going to be there publicly, and we're going to talk about Jesus, and we're going to invite others, and we're going to ask them about their spiritual journeys, and we're going to invite them to experience the life that we have, the peace and the hope and the joy and the stability that we enjoy in Jesus Christ. Why? Because he's won the victory for us. So we're living in the last days. What do we do with that? Well, we live out fully the life of Jesus Christ until he calls us home one way or the other. We seek to be faithful in our prayers. We seek to be faithful in our love and our hospitality. We display spiritual gifts, which was a follow-up at the end of the passage. We're to identify those things that really energize us. The Spirit just really energizes us to a particular task or ability, and it blesses the entire church. And it's not us doing the blessing. It's the Spirit doing blessing through us. So I want to encourage you to think about that. What is your spiritual gift? What is it that God's equipped you to do that when you do it, you derive great joy and other believers around you really rejoice with what you're doing? That's what makes church exciting to be in, and that's what it makes it exciting to be a part of. I believe that's what's happening in McCabe Church. I believe that's what God desires to happen in McCabe Church. So I'm praying for you. Be strong, be courageous. Have you got that card, that invite card? Have you handed it out? Have you delivered it to one person to another? Again, pray for it and then just take that courageous move just to enter into somebody's life and say, hey, I want to invite you for a burger and a hot dog. And I want you to meet my church family. That's what we've been doing. What I've been doing this week is just saying, I want you to meet my church family. I want you to come have a meal and just meet just a great church family that's going to offer you a free meal. So I hope you'll do that. We'll see you Saturday, 4 o'clock through 6 at Jack Dalton. And then Sunday, our time of worship, we're going to be united around communion. It's Family Sunday. All of our families and kids will be in together. I've got a kids message for the kids specifically. And frankly, adults, you're going to like it too. So I hope you'll be a part of that. We're going to worship together. And so I look forward to seeing you Sunday. Let's be back together. Let's bring somebody with you. And let's forward to worshiping. But again, in the last days, these are not the last days for us. Today is the first day of eternity for us. It goes forever in Jesus Christ, no matter what. So God bless. Take care.